Hey, glad you could make it. Welcome to Fantasy Dad Pods, where dad bods are glorified and dad jokes are encouraged. I'm JT, accompanied by Sean. Sean, how we doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Been on a little hiatus. Life coming at us, but it's summer months where we live. Crazy, crazy hot, but managed to stay cool. Um, I don't know. How about you, JT? Nothing. I mean, nothing. Kids. Oh, I guess I will say the oldest is playing baseball, and when I say is playing baseball, like hitting the ball, running, got the most ground balls during t-ball of everybody.
Nice.
Even he's got a couple kind of wild kids on his team who they get one gets the ground ball, then like jumps on the other ones. Like I don't know if he's really trying to get it anymore, but it's a couple kids do that at his thing. But yeah, we
Hashtag teamwork.
between like it being 104 and the smoke being crazy and
Yeah,
canceling games, we haven't been able to play as much as probably wanted to. But I mean, I don't blame them for not playing at 105 weather. So probably been miserable for anybody at that time. But um yeah, it's. I was a little nervous about him getting his first game. Didn't want to do any of that stuff. Now he's kind of like, let's do it. Let's hit it. He did the other day. So he's a lefty when he bats.
oh,
So he hit lefty. I always tell the coach like he's a lefty. He's a lefty. And then coach forgot and he hit righty the second time. So switch hitter like his old man there, like a little bit gets a little lefty righty action. So and he hit the ball both times back past the mound. So he
sweet.
had a good enough mustard on it to get back there, lefty and righty. He just like gets up there and he hacks. So, and he's one of the kids who follows instructions base to base. It's always funny. I was coaching third base, and it's always you probably get this at the t-ball is like, okay, we're on third, we're gonna go to where they're hitting, and how many kids are just like, and I'm going to the dugout.
Yeah.
Like they're just like they get halfway and they're like done, and I'm like, okay, well, all right, well, we'll get there next time. We'll get there next time.
hmm
But the boy, he gets all the bases. He touches them all. So I'm like, there you go. You're better than 60% of your teammates. So I don't blame the teammates, but they're just like, I ran this far, and they're done. So
Right.
it's pretty entertaining to watch the kids. As one of them was trying to tell me at third base that he likes the Mariners, and the ball was hit right past him, and he kept
Oh,
telling me how
good.
he likes the Mariners. As the whole team was like, "Oh, like the ball," and he's just like, "No, baseball, but the Mariners." Yeah, so
That's
that
pretty
was pretty fun.
important. Yeah.
Little 4 and 5 year olds playing baseball is pretty. It's pretty fun and entertaining. It's pretty fun.
Then you take him to a dust off game. Like, remember we taught you how to run the bases? If you do that after the game, they give you like a coupon for a Blizzard. They let the
It's a
kids
blizzard
run
now.
the
It used to be a free pizza back in the day.
Yeah. You run the bases at the end for a free like dilly bar or blizzard or cone or something, and then but they still do the outfield thing during this
Yeah.
not seventh inning stretch, but right before that, you get a mini pizza.
Oh, that's it. Okay, so that
They have both.
one's still okay. So that's a pretty good deal then. You get a pizza and a blizzard. Okay, or a dilly bar.
Yes,
Okay.
if you stay the whole game. But nowadays
Can adults do it?
that's not too bad of it. Yeah, if you
Will they
they
give me a
usually
dilly bar?
they will give you the pizza because you're usually running with the kid, but only allow like 12 years old and under on the base pass. So
Okay.
only the kid gets the treat.
So I get the pizza. Okay, that's good to know. Good to know. I'll do that. I'll hit that up.
Yeah, like we went to a baseball game because it was like a work function, and sometime middle of July or so. Take both the kids. The oldest just takes off with his friends, and then I'm with the youngest. He's 5. He's not much of a speed demon. He's just trucking. He's enjoying himself. He's laughing. He's trying to cut me off, giggle with me. And then all of a sudden, this like 12-year-old, not looking ahead, looking behind him, just road run, just takes him out, like flattens him, like into
Yep.
the grass type of thing. And I'm like running right beside it, just like slow mo happens in my head. And he took it okay, and the other kid was like, "I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "No, it's okay. Are you okay?" Because his chin went into the back of my kid's head, and so
Oh
he
gosh,
was kind of rung up too. So
you got to keep your
yeah,
head on a swivel in that
you gotta be
Dusty's
careful.
dash. You
Yeah,
gotta. You
everyone's
gotta.
yelling at you to be fast, but I mean, you gotta look both ways.
It's a wall of children and adults trying to find the children. It's pretty entertaining. Not gonna lie. There's always the kid who gets out way too fast and eats it too. He's like, I
Yeah.
got this. And he gets his head above his skis, and he just is like, uh-oh, and he goes down.
Or the grandpa who's just like, oh, I'm taking the little ones out, and I'm going to show him a thing or two, and then he catches his Birkenstock in the turf and tumbles, and
it's
like,
dangerous.
oh,
it's a hard life out there.
Gotta watch out.
So, but yeah, what's going on with you?
I mean, we did a baseball game there. I don't know, not much else. I did a cornhole tournament. I mean, it's fun. Took second in one event, took fourth in another. So had a good
time. There you go. I did play cornhole at my work retreat, though.
There you go.
I did tell them about you and how it was just like, oh, wedding, that's fun, and then it's turned into your obsession. So that was fun. And then we got so dark that I was like, I couldn't see the other board. And I was like, did it go in? Like, I don't know what happened. So I was like, it's probably time we call it, fellas. Like, we're throwing it, and I'm like, what's the score? Like, what's going on over there? And you hear like 12-17. I'm like, for who? I don't know what's right. Who. Like, who is that? My teammate yelling at me? Yeah. So I get that. I
remember we did cornhole the first year. We did it live at 5 there at that park there, and it got really late. It got really dark, and there's just one little like lamp in the middle of that park, random. It's like lamp. You could barely see, and the 12-year-old phenom in our group was just complaining. Can't see the board, can't see the bag flight, can't this, can't that. I was like, so the other guy I was playing with, who's actually younger, he's 10-year-old. I was like, dude, we got this. He's in his own head. I said, do you know how many nights I just spent standing in my driveway, like shooting hoops until my parents were like, hey, you need to be quiet. Pick up the basketball, go do something else. I'm just like, it's muscle memory. Just because you can't see it just as well, it's the same thing. So, hey, just have fun, do your best stuff. Double dipped in that day. That was cool. That was fun.
I will tell you that's actually that there is a time and a place to do that, because I used to that's when we grew up. It was always night, so I had to get lights on. We stole a halogen light one time to play in the driveway, and everything like that when it get really cold and it'd go down really early. But we did football, and I busted my nose pretty bad one time when we have a back porch light, and we'd have it on there. And I think it was my buddy across the street was quarterback, and I was playing wide receiver, and he threw it from the dark. I could see it, but then it went into the light and then back into the dark. And then halfway, I was like, I lost it. And it hit me square in the face. I was like, it's probably time we don't play. Because it was the in and out of the light where I was like, wait, well, okay, I've lost it again. Like, and then right in the nose. So there is a time and place, or it is too dark to play some sports sometimes. But I don't think cornhole was in danger of that happening. So get out of your own head.
Yeah, it's pretty low key. But otherwise, just super busy, Yeah, like you said, summer months, got a big trip coming up, and been going different, like camping trip, and then here and there, tons of birthdays. So I don't know why there's so many birthdays in the month of July. Like, I guess Halloween was a popular one to make babies, because I don't know what holiday you'd celebrate to have a kid in July, but
you're telling me it's been 3 weeks in a row? 3 weeks in a row birthdays. And got invited to not one this weekend. Oh, no, not one this week, 2 the next weekend as well. So it's just, everyone's like, oh, let's get the kids together. I'm like, when? They're already together. It's a birthday. Like, like, when else am I going to do this? Like, it's every other weekend. Like, so it just feels like that's all we do. And we only have one that's going to birthdays. So I don't know what it's like when we are going to have 2. Like,
each have their own set of friends, and
it's going to get nuts. Although I think it'll get a little nicer when they're out of daycare, because that's a lot of the birthdays. Everyone goes to all the daycare classes. Am I wrong?
Yes. And special announcement, we just made our last daycare payment.
There we go.
For the month of August, we're done. But, I mean, we still got Boys and Girls Club for like school and stuff.
But that's not even in the same ballpark,
Daycare. We've
done.
We're
a daycare-free house.
Wow.
Until the accident shows up. What? Jinx, don't put that hate on you.
No, yeah. Oh, and actually one of the birthdays was a going away party. Actually, you'll like this. He's 6. He just turned 16. He signed a contract with one of those hockey leagues out in Montana and Wyoming that all play together. So he's playing for the Wyoming Quake, and he's gonna go like live with them for most of the school year, and
Yeah.
but he's gonna do like online school, and because most of the workouts and stuff's during the day, and he's really stoked about it. So
Dang.
I knew it existed. I just have never been a witness to it. I'm like, oh, okay, like
It's
this is
yeah,
a
it's like
thing,
the kids who come to the Tri-Cities, it's the same thing they do. They just come here. Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
just so weird. I'm just like, I don't know how. Okay, like as a parent, just like he just turned 16, and like now you're just trusting him to be a full on like basically like college. Like he's away, he's
Yeah.
online classes, he's doing workouts and stuff, and it's a bunch of other kids the same
Yeah.
age, and seemed like a good coach. I guess the coach did the similar path as like did this whole thing 16 and all that, and so
The elite level of sports, man. He spent a lot of time. Speaking of elite sports
and,
people,
and a lot of time but not playing.
Jacob DeGrom not playing a lot, but he's maybe throwing baseballs again. I don't know. That was just the first name that popped up on my injury list. So, Max Scherzer placed on the injury list again.
Yeah,
That guy can't catch any break. Oh, before we get any further, R.I.P. Mike Trout. Just another season canceled again. Double meniscus tear.
both
It's
knees or just
it was
twice
the
on the
same knee,
same.
same knee. So I
Oh,
heard a story that he thought it was like the cartilage like breaking up, and then it got an MRI clean, felt good, and then they're like 2 days later, just a precautionary like, hey, let's check how it's doing. You have a tear. And he's like, what? So maybe the first one was wrong, but just he didn't do anything different. He said he was just like, I was just doing my physical therapy, doing all my training, and then boom, another tear showed up. So I don't. Whatever like juju sacrifice he has to do, I haven't seen Major Leagues in a while. I should probably watch that again. But Jobu, right? Is that the guy's name? Jobu, I think.
That
Is the
sounds
little
right.
like troll doll looking guy that he has in there. Yeah, he's got to sacrifice whatever to Jobu because whatever has bit him hard. So please uh, do whatever you can to help Mike Trout play baseball again.
2 tears, 1 menisci. Am I saying that right?
Sure.
Crazy.
I don't know.
Crazy. We need to get him some of that Wolverine peptides. So that's more for cartilage.
Whatever. Honestly, at this point, whatever. Like, just try whatever. Like, there's got to be some like drink at some like natural herb like counter that someone's like, this will help you. He's like, whatever, just give me it. Like, I don't care. Like, just do whatever you gotta do because man, we're ruining it. Like, we're not even seeing his 30s anymore. Like, we just don't see it. I saw a stat that you said it.
Torres
Volpe has played more
to
games.
Volpe.
Yeah, since 2019, I think was the year.
2021.
2021. Okay, 2021. Since Mike Trout and Volpe's been in the league for 2 seasons. Like, it's just like, what are we? I just
Since 2021, Volpe has more games than Mike Trout. Volpe made his debut in 2023.
Yeah. I mean, and the gap, and that's current. That was current as of a week ago. The gap is getting bigger now too. So if he keeps playing, he might catch him in 2020. Like, because 2020 was only so many games. So, but yeah, it just sucks. Ranger Suarez, little nicked up, but coming back, throwing a bullpen sesh.
Yeah. So if you had Ranger, I hope you traded him off. I mean, he earned it. He earned that run. We always talked about like I don't know how many pitching matchups you can give like to hedge your bet on a pitcher, but he was just getting those dream matchups his first 10 starts. And I mean, he did what you're supposed to do with that, but it's just like you can't face those poor quality opponents for 20 more times to finish the year, and let alone stay healthy, unfortunately.
Yeah, just a lot of people coming back because I feel like at this point of the year, if you're getting injuries, you're kind of being shut down for the year, depending on what it is. Like, you're not, it's hard to just get a 15 day thing, in almost middle of August. So I just feel like a lot of us.
Heliot Ramos, he's what? No, he played the next day. Never mind. He was out with the thumb injury.
Yep, I keep looking.
He's been kind of one of those fantasy pickup darlings, all-star.
Most of the news is like people are coming back from injuries. And if you're already roster those players, you're already aware of these guys. So we don't like to you're already aware of Verlander throwing 37 pitches in simulated games. That's not news to you. It's more the injuries. I don't see anybody that went on the IL that's like major.
Well, I see someone with worse juju than Mike Trout. That's possible.
Who's that?
Do you remember a guy named Lance McCullers Jr.? Do you remember him?
I mean, yeah.
He's going to miss the rest of the season. I'm like, I didn't even know he was going to be able to come back this. Like, I've pretty much forgot him. He's 30. Like, I guess he's still relevant, but man.
He hasn't pitched since 2022. And how many innings did he pitch in 2022? 30?
Yeah, I don't know.
I got to do a quick Google search. All right. Okay, let's see here, JT. How many innings do you think Lance McCullers pitched in 2022?
I don't
47.
I was going to say, I think it was for a few.
47. So he basically hasn't. Yeah, I mean, he has 47 innings since 2021. It's a Volpe thing again.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been a McCullers Jr. stan. I've enjoyed him when he was relevant in fantasy, but it's just at this point you just feel for like his career.
How many innings do you have to get to qualify for a season total? Now I know in the past it was like 160, I think. Was it to qualify? Or is it closer to 180? I think it was 160.
I was going to say 40 these days, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's probably like 140. Lance McCullers has pitched more than 128 innings one time in his career. He pitched 162 in 2021. Other than that, 2020 pitched a full season, 55 innings. He made 11 starts, 2020. But other than that, he's basically topping out at 100. Average about 100. Man. And he's been very effective every single year he pitches, too. He's had one season where he had like a ERA plus under 110. It's just like, it's all that injury, man. And that's crazy. Like, he comes back, has massive injury, comes back, still good. 136, 169, like, all he's crazy. Just cannot, It's going to be the classic what if. It's going to be that classic what if, man.
Yeah. It's just a bummer. I always want to see anybody stay healthy and compete other than maybe, I don't know, this guy, Anthony Rendon. Oh, lower back I don't really care. As a baseball fan, like, you're just like, you hate your job, but you just get paid. You got your payday, and you're just sticking around. Like, I don't want to think about you.
Like he's collecting his paycheck. So.
I don't know. I still think I hate Tommy Pham more, but it's starting to get close.
Tommy Pham will what JT? Okay. Legitimate question. Tommy Pham hits a game-winning grand slam for the Seattle Mariners to put him in the World Series. Do you still hate Tommy Pham?
To put him in or to win it? What'd you say?
To put him in. Just put him in. Like, if it's really specific here. Yeah, because if they win it, you're obviously going to be like, no, I don't hate Tommy Pham anymore. But, like, they didn't win it, but they do break something they've never done before and gone to the World Series.
Then I would be like the redheaded guy in the Futurama gif where it's like super squinty eyes.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I'd be like, okay, we're cool. Like, we're even.
You're not like in love with him, but you're like, you've righted this wrong, basically.
Like, I'll allow it.
Okay. All right. I needed to know what Tommy Pham has to do to get back with JT. Okay. Okay. I needed to know that. I think the world needed to know that, really, honestly. And Tommy Pham, if you're listening, that's just what needs to happen. Tommy Pham is the most updated roster player. I just looked on this thing. No lie. He's like
really
on this thing, but I have to adjust it to kind of like make it a little bit more, what we got going on here. But that was on a free agent center ESPN league. That was he's the number one. So it's kind of funny that we said that. Okay, so I think it's been a while since we got to talk about guys you got to pick up. We got to talk about some bats here. Do you have a guy you got to talk about, JT? Do you got to have one? What's your guy here? I think honestly, I
Oh
think your guy
man,
is your one you roster is Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman's just been has been great recently. 55%
he,
rostered.
he's been he's been just Mister like steady. He hasn't really had anything crazy like high or low. I think he's just been
He got off
really
to a rougher
consistent.
start, I thought, but since
But
that, he's been
yeah,
I'm Matt Chapman.
but like May, June,
Yeah,
now all through July, I feel
yeah.
like he's chipping in a few stolen bases each month. He's a handful or more of home runs each month. It's just like he has been very consistent. Only 54.9% rostered in ESPN. It's just like he a deep team league. He's your third baseman. And you definitely want him as a util or corner infielder.
Corner,
It's just
yeah.
like it's working for him, and it's one of those things where it's just like this is his year. Do I trust him next year? No, not really. I think I'd still have him in the same ADP or roughly, but you know what? He's performing and he's getting, 70th, 80th percentile out of outcomes, and it's just like, hey, ride the wave.
He's going to play. He's going to play because his defense is so good. His defense
Ooh.
is going to keep him in that lineup. And I thought he was going to struggle coming over to San Francisco, but he's just been, like you said, super consistent other than that first 3-week
Mm.
stint. And I'm like, a guy who's going to fill up the stat sheet again, 18 home runs, 12 stolen bases from a third base who's going to play every day. He has 80 runs. That is yes, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to look other than do the Giants play today? No, I could just let Matt Chapman play my corner infield spot and don't have to worry about it. And he will not
Yeah.
hurt me. He might even the last 3 days he's hit home run every single game. He might even get crazy hot and hit me and win me a week, end of the week. So I mean, I don't want to say that he helped you, but he did. So but yeah, that's what I'm like Matt Chapman. I've definitely been noticing him, and I'm like, man, he's just been underrated in terms of what he brings to a team, and only 55% is way too low. I mean, there's other guys on here.
I'm looking at another third baseman, and kind of the talk of the Mariners in terms of real baseball is who they got rid of in the offseason, and they're having really good years. Teoscar, we kind of probably would have figured he probably would. I mean, a better year than last year, yeah, it's probably a pretty good bet. But even Kelnick, but Eugenio Suarez started off the first 2 months of the season putrid,
Oh God, yeah.
worthless. And over the last month and a half, he's been hitting the ball really well, and it almost can't. It started with just a reality check. I remember, it was okay, you're just gonna hit lefties. I don't know when that was, end of May or June, early June or so, and then slowly he's coming back to full time at bats and everything, and he's got 10 home runs over the last 30 days, 22 runs, 27 RBIs, and 92 at bats. He's getting full time play, and it's at a, it's just one of those things where it's okay, he's rolling.
I'll say this: he has a 750 slug in since July started. Now, there is a little caveat, and it's half tongue-in-cheek, half serious. He did hit 3 of those home runs off Patrick Corbin. So, I mean, in what everyone's man, he hit 3 home runs in a game. I was that's crazy. I'm it's Patrick Corbin. Only Patrick Corbin's allowed to go when he's giving up 3 dingers to some one guy, because he just they just keep handing him the ball. So I'm I just was I'll never forget my immediate Gino's hitting 3 bombs in a game. I gotta check it. I'm Corbin is still in the. And I remember watching him when he hit the 3rd home run. I'm did he come in relief? I'm no, he started. He's still going. They're just letting him just eat the innings. So I was I just thought that was funny when I saw Gino. I was Corbin, oh man, he's feeding off Corbin. But hey, you guys still hit the ball. We were talking. You still gotta execute. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You gotta get the good wins against the bad teams. So don't knock it. Let's see who else here. I mean, spoiler kind of thing, but I'm a big Mayo fan. I I think it's just Baltimore. Like I just I like what they're doing, and I trust their hitters. Um, so I'm just like they're calling up their next huge prospect, and so I'm like, okay. Oh, by the way, Jackson Holiday came up again and is hitting. So
Yeah.
um, spoiler here, didn't trade him. Probably a good idea, and has absolutely been 3 multi-hit game in a row, including a home run today or yesterday. So you know, and he has 2 home runs since he's been up for 5 days. 2 home run, 5 games, 7 RBIs. It's okay. I think Jackson was gonna be just fine. Maybe a little young, but I think he was gonna be okay. Just we talked about it. So I think Kobe Mayo's the next guy. I think it's just more of a like it's Baltimore. Just let the kids play. Like just make it like a crazy super young team. What do you got to lose? They don't know any better. Like just let them play. Figure it out.
If you love fantasy baseball, you're
Yeah.
just a closet Baltimore Orioles fan.
Like seriously, are there like 11 bats that are like rostered in that league? Like
yeah, it's just like it's elite hitters that play good defense at all over the field, and then they traded for pitching. It's just like it's almost a weird equivalent to fantasy baseball. You're just like, I can appreciate this. I can get on board. Young studs, and then bringing in what they need to get the job done for pitching. It's just like it's just fun to watch.
Like we know of like Adley Rutschman, Gunnar, Santander. We talked about him last time on the podcast. Super underrated. Just hits 30 bombs a year. Like they're all rostered. And I'm looking at it now on ESPN. 3 of the top 7 highest added players are all Baltimore Orioles, like bats. So it's just like we already know that like 60% of the roster is already rostered, or their lineup was already rostered, and now they've added 3 more guys with Jackson Holiday, Colton Cowser, and Colby Mayo as being those 3 guys that are being picked up in more leagues. So it's like the Mariners or like a Dodgers like reclamation project. You're pitchers wise, you're like, I assume they're going to be good. It's the Baltimore Orioles. I assume with bats, it's just going to work out well. Colby started 0 for 9, but again, you saw Jackson Holiday. I'm not worried about it. The talent is there. You don't. I mean, not every one of their process is going to pan out, but until one does, I feel Colby Mayo was he officially the number 1 prospect after Jackson got he was up there, I remember, but I was just like, these highly rated prospects for the Orioles are just going to keep coming up. So,
yeah, and at this point, Mayo had nothing to prove at AAA.
He had a 900 slash line at 22, and he was hitting a home run every 3 games in AAA.
Yeah, and what 22. You're talking about for what you want to see out of Mayo, and just give him a leash and let him play. That's what they did with Cowser, and he had a really hot first 2 weeks, week and a half, and then it was like, okay, reality check. But over the last 30 days, man, he's figured himself out, and
Cowser at least has a 15-game hitting streak. I just looked.
So, oh my gosh, at least.
Yeah, they show it every game that they show in the game log. He has a hit, at least 1 hit. So, yeah. So
they played the waiting game and let him just kind of figure it out, and he has.
Yeah,
definitely. So
let Anthony Santander be the vet, and then I guess Rutschman is the vet. and then it's just a bunch of kids that are somehow younger than Adley Rutschman. And just let him hit. Just let him go. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big Colby guy. Obviously, like Jackson Holiday, I don't know how he's only rostered in 50% of leagues. I mean, obviously it's got to be probably, but you figured he was going to come up at some point, right? I didn't think they were going to shut him down all year. So, but if somehow you got lucky and got him, or don't have him rostered in the sub 50% of leagues, pick up Jackson Holiday.
Sometimes I feel like ESPN is the more traditional platform, probably not a whole lot of bench spots, and we're not dealing with dynasty.
I just feel like you knew Jackson was coming. You know what I mean? I was just like, he's coming, and especially September 2 in that extra roster spot. I was like, Jackson's going to be that guy for the Orioles. Get him a couple weeks early. So I don't know. Yeah. I was just like, it's going to be Jackson. Who else do you like, JT?
Roll right there next to Xavier Edwards. Second and short eligible. He's got all the playing time in the world now, and he steals a ton of bases, and he's hitting the ball really well. I mean, last time I checked, he had a really what 10-game hit streak.
Ooh,
Oh, 8. Excuse me, 8
yeah.
game hit streak in the works. But in those 8 games, he's had 4 stolen bases, and he's still young. I mean, he's striking out, but he's making a lot of contact. So obviously, he's swinging out a lot, but it's good production. When he gets on base, he's going to attempt a steal. Speed guy, hitting leadoff in Miami. I know Miami's not like a big offensive power, but like dude's getting an opportunity. So you're in a 15-team league, like you should already be taken by now. If not, throw him in your middle infield spot and at least get those stolen bases out of him.
I mean, last 8 games, he's averaging like almost a steal per strikeout. So,
Right.
I mean, that works. So, yeah, no, he's. I mean, because the other guy that's on the hot pickup is Jazz Chisholm, the guy who just left Miami, and yeah, like you
Right.
said, Edwards has all the playing time in the world now. Got to get all these young kids up there. Man, he's got a lot of stolen bases. Like he is just going, and good for Miami. Yeah, plays, and again the huge one. Same with Jackson Holiday, obviously, but he plays second base. Like second baseman is gonna. I don't know if he's gonna have an on base percentage of 450, but stealing bases at that clip. He's walking a ton too, which is like, yeah, I think you kind of undersold it. You're like, he strikes out. I don't think he strikes out really that much for how many at bats he actually has. Like last 8 games, he has 7 strikeouts, but like he has 4 stolen bases, and he's averaging like 5 to 6 plate appearances a game. I mean, honestly, it's pretty good. I don't know if you're probably right in that. I think it continues probably a little bit. He's probably got a little more swing and miss in his profile, but like he's playing really well right now, and he needs to be rostered more than 50% of leagues. Mainly also because he plays second base. But yeah, I'm all about that. I'm all about that. What do you think? I had a buddy text me about Jazz Chisholm. They're like, "This is the new Jazz Chisholm," and I was like, "I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far." But do you think? I mean, I assume that the new digs of New York helps him, but like, how much do you think it actually helps him? Because I
This
know
is a
Miami's
new
got a pretty spacious park, but spacious as like balls drop for him that wouldn't drop in other ballparks of the smaller outfield.
right.
And I just feel like Jazz Chisholm game's not really power anyway. So if you're thinking like he's gonna hit home runs, I think you're gonna be disappointed. And with less balls dropping, I think it might hurt him a little bit actually.
Yeah. Do you remember another buddy we had who was like, "Hey, Ichiro's gonna hit 20 home runs this year." That took me back to when you just said, "Hey, Jazz, this is new Jazz. He's gonna." I'm just like, I don't
I
know about that.
I remember when our buddy said that. I came home from work and you were like, I made a bet he was gonna hit like 20 home runs. $20, he was gonna hit 20 home runs. And I remember immediately I'm on the couch and I'm like, I want that bet immediately right now. He does not hit 20 home runs. And I made that bet, and he had to pay us both. Yeah, because he did not
Yes.
hit 20 home runs. Because that was the
Yep.
Mariners where Ichiro's was gonna hit third in the lineup. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I don't blame our buddy. For it was down years of the Mariners. You were hoping something would just happen.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Same
those were
thing for Jazz. Like you're
yeah.
hopeful he's in a new situation. I just don't foresee that, but hey, it's good for you starting out hot, but I don't think what is it? This is August. I mean, give me a over under on like 7.5 more home runs, maybe.
Even maybe. Yeah,
I don't know.
my thought is like I would really like if Jazz doesn't walk a ton. You know what I mean? Like he's not like, oh my gosh, I walk a lot, but he doesn't walk none at all. But like if you with that lineup, just they're not gonna. Aaron Judge is such a alien behind you. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and Volpe doing this. There are bats. So like you don't have to do too much Jazz. Just get on base and steal. That's really what they need for you. Make some slap contact. You don't need to swing for the fences because they got plenty of guys later to do that. Like I don't want him to change his profile because obviously that's probably a recipe for like disaster when you get to you change ballparks and you change what you are. But like I just feel like I'm like, does his profile fit what that team needs and what that stadium can do? So that's why I'm a little like, man, I get the player that's exciting. It's New York, but is he a fit for that team? And I'm not sure. It's like he's 88% rostered. I don't think either of us are advocating for like less, but I'm just like, I don't think it's as exciting as some people think it's going to be. I think it's like it'll be closer to Miami than people think. They're like, okay, it'll probably just be the same. He'll get more runs probably, but I don't think much will noticeably change.
I would say more RBI. Was my initial thought, because I don't think he's batting anywhere near the top of that order. Maybe he bats
but
like six.
The problem with that lineup though is the middle of it. Their goal is to empty the base paths. So like I just feel like if you get through all of them, they're not empty. You're probably either the inning's going to end because they're going to strike out, or like you might get some more, but I think it'll be like arbitrary. Like you'll get a little bit more just because of the sheer number of people on base. But like I think the real thing is going to be like if he can get on base, then those guys coming up when they come up the next time will clear him out. So I think that's kind of where you'll see it because I agree for the most part that's probably true. But that team is just like we hit dingers, and so like they didn't really mess around with anything else. So. Let's see, Jake Berger. Just like I always like seeing him. I'm not really big on picking him up, but I just like seeing him. He's been hot recently, but I think he's got to get a little bit more hot for me to really be interested. Because it's one of those things you dug a hole pretty early. I'm just like, man, that on base percentage is sub 300. I'm just like, ugh, like in an OBP league, it's just hard. It's just hard.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Tyler?
Oh, I thought you went close. I thought you were going to go Josh Bell. But my honest thoughts is it's a really nice story. And that's what I'll say. Like, the combo of outfield shortstop's pretty interesting. Like honestly, like position wise. Right. So that like allows you to play a lot of spots, like middle infield. Can fill middle infield, can also fill some outfield. So like in some of these leagues, it is nice to have the versatility. I just don't know. I think maybe you've missed the window already at this point. I think what is it, 11 home runs in 17 games? Yes, I just saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. He put up his 12th tonight.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not going to continue. So like, did you already miss it by like placing a waiver today? Let's say it's Monday. You do weekly waivers. You pick them up on Wednesday. How long is this hot streak really going to be where he hits a home run every other day? I'm just like, I feel like the window's already been gone. If you picked him up a week ago, awesome. Like that's awesome. But like, I just don't know if it's going to continue. I just really don't. And so I think roster him, but like, what's he rostered at right now? 30, 34.
Oh, 34. Yeah.
I'm tend to be more on the conservative side, like other than like if they play like catcher or second base, because like that's really where you just like grasp at straws for somebody. And he plays shortstop and outfield, and there's plenty of those guys. So I'm just like rostering him's fine if you roster him. I wouldn't drop him, but if you don't roster him and he's still available, I wouldn't spend more than a couple fat bucks. And obviously it depends on your team and health and everything like that. But I think probably that 40% is probably good at this point in his career. Like in this many at bats, 140 at bats, I think that's fine. Now, in a week, if they're still like he doesn't have to even hit this many home runs, but he's still going like 2 for 4. Still, because that's what I'm seeing here. There's a lot of 2-4s. There's some offers here coming up here, but then he solves it by going 2 for 4 and then hitting home runs.
Right.
He goes 0 for 4, 2 for 4 with a home run. I'm like, well, you kind of bounce it out. But like, what if those home runs aren't home runs and they're outs and it's a 1 for 4 with no home runs? I just, I think it's about 40% roster right now. He needs to continue it for another week, and then I'm like, okay, like another week or two, and then I'm like, okay, now you belong in like in the 60ish% roster spot, because I just think the window has been missed. I think most of the value is gone.
Yeah, I my head agrees, but my heart wants him to be a steady Aquino of what, like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
where just like redonkulous for that one season.
That was so much fun.
It makes it fun. I would think it'd be really tough to keep doing what he's doing when half his games are in San Francisco, but they also play some games at Mile High, and it's just, I don't know, it just like it's fun while it's lasts. I would temper your expectations. It's not all going to be like this, but like that's a lot of strikeouts. So, it's going well so far. and he's facing the Nationals on the road currently, and then Detroit, then Atlanta. So I mean, I don't know the year.
I don't know if they play him in the future. JT, he hit a home run today off Patrick Corbin. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Patrick Corbin has to be the league leader in that like bad points league. Like,
oh
he's
my gosh,
pitching
that dude has played
every
a full
fifth
season. His
day.
ERA is 6.
Yeah, he's got to be the league leader.
His ERA the last 7 days is 30. He gave up 10 earned runs in that game against the Arizona Diamondbacks in 3 innings. Gino hit 3 home runs in 3 innings. Just want you to know that. But like, then he gave up a dinger today to your boy. But
so you're telling me Patrick Corbin pulled an Sang Bak of KBO?
Yes, I don't know what that means, but
he's 27-year-old for the KT Wiz, and I've kind of streamed him here and there. He's been having a good season, and then he went from like a 4 ERA on the season, had 1 bad outing this last week, and now he's up over a 5 ERA. He gave up 10 earned over 5 innings on 11 hits, 2 home runs.
How are you if like you're like the Cincinnati Reds 2 weeks ago and Patrick Corbin throws a quality start against you?
They were all just like worried about the trade deadline? I don't know.
Yeah, what happens? It lowered his ERA to 5.3 on the season. That quality start, that 1 earned run over 6. Then how did the Nationals win a World Series with Patrick Corbin? What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Strasburg, Patrick Corbin, like we're 2 like huge cogs in that.
Right.
Could you just imagine what a day to be? What a time to be alive. Anyways, enough of pooping on. Patrick Corbin made his money and got a World Series ring. Like Patrick Corbin cares what I say. You know what I mean? Like what is he worried about me? So like his life's great.
Have you seen that recently? A lot of people starting to like DM players and players like running back like, oh, I didn't, like, oh, you didn't hit me a home run on my parlay, and
like what are we doing as players? What are we doing as people like talking about betting and players? Like what are we doing?
Like, I don't know.
Like
it's like, did you think that was an icebreaker to some bigger conversation they are willing to have? Like you just literally just
wouldn't think like, sorry, I'll get you a signed baseball. Like he cares that he didn't hit a home run for you. I'm sure he was trying to get a hit. Like, sorry, he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, I ruined your parlay, buddy. Like, you know what I mean? Like he cares. So, and the best part is too, like, if you watch the old documentaries about fantasy baseball, it's been going on since like the 80s. People are like, I got you in fantasy baseball. Hit me a home run. Mm-hmm. So it's just the internet makes it more relevant now. 40 years later. So it's just crazy. Just crazy. Any other? Let's
fanatics for a reason.
Yeah. Let's talk about drops first. Let's stick with hitters, and then we'll go with pitchers because
Okay.
They're fun. JT, we talked about it on the pod. We haven't talked about him for a while, but you can drop Joe Adele. I don't know if like we were talking about him like, oh man, how many months ago was that? A lot of months ago.
2?
But yeah, and we haven't brought him up since, but yeah, Joe Adele. Let's see here.
I made 2 sizable drops recently that were hitters that I had been
who was that
for ever since the trade deadline. So here's the tie-in. So the trade deadline, so Jesse Winker goes to the Mets, and Jesse Winker goes from hitting every day and stealing a ton of bases and having some pop to only platooning on the weak side of a weird 3-way platoon with like Iglesias and McNeil.
Yeah.
And so he's like barely getting any at bats, and
it has not been pretty.
Just worthless now. So I dropped him. Same goes for Bryce Terang. Tons of stolen bases on the year, but not much over the last 30 days. He's just been super slumping, and then all of a sudden that slump turns into a playing time share, and now he's not batting near the top lineup, and he's platooning, and he's batting like 7th. So it's just like, nope, that's not going to do it either.
I mean, I was saying with Nolan Gorman, it's just like, what are we doing? Like, he's not even playing. So same as you, just doesn't play. Had high hopes. I see a lot of people here still rostering slowly, but Adolis Garcia has not been playing well recently, and it's man, 1 home run last 10 days. He got 2 stolen bases, but for where people drafted him at 90% rostered, 1 home run and 2 stolen bases, and a 270 on base. Like I'm just like, and they're I don't know, man. I don't know. Never been a huge fan of the profile, and I'm just like, ugh.
Well, I remember specifically we talked about Adolis Garcia and Randy Rosarena.
And another guy who's on this list too, Luis Robert Jr.
Ooh,
He's
yes.
also on the drop list up here.
And Robert had a higher ADP, and the other two were very similar. And I definitely remember Adolis and Randy having a very similar start to the season, but over the last month, Randy's starting to turn around, then he gets traded, and he stays hot. Whereas Adolis is just kind of sputtering along, and it's just kind of ugly, but it's like depending on how deep or shallow your league is, like you're kind of stuck with it, and maybe you can just ride him
Yeah.
on the bench as much as possible, but sometimes you just gotta play it, and I don't know, it's kind of a bummer.
I just feel like, yeah, especially where you draft him. I guess that's better context because Luis Robert is 75% roster. I'm not saying drop him, but like again, the last 10 days we got 1 home run and 3 stolen bases, and the on base and the overall slugging and anything is not. None of the other numbers look very good. So I'm just like, and he plays for the White Sox, so ain't nobody hitting him in, and he ain't hitting nobody in. So I'm just
Right.
like, man, what strikes out a ton? Like I'm like, ah, man, like where people were talking about drafting him in the third round of like a 12 team, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I don't know if it's like something in the water there, but like that team and all the players are just packed it in. They're just like, we're absolutely not. One literally almost packed it in, and Dylan Crochet or is Crochets. He's like absolutely not. So
So weird. So weird. Who does
it's
he
just
think he is?
I don't
I'll
man.
only be traded if you sign me into an extension. It's like, well,
It's
how about
just
you go earn it?
I feel honestly, and it was kind of a joke, but I think them hiring the old Cardinals manager, Tony La Russa, was like they had all the momentum and they hired the wrong person and it ruined everything. It just ruined everything. I think that was just a horrible hire.
Yeah.
Horrible ownership too. So that just makes it kicker.
Yeah.
But I think no, not even worth mentioning. Not rostered enough. Man, I'm just trying to see here. I hate being super negative, but I think, man, Brooks Lee, kind of same thing. He's only rostered in 5% of leagues, so it's kind of like really doing. Again, Wyatt Langford, 1 home run, 1 stolen base last 10 days. More over days than hit days with hits. Kind of just all the Rangers. It's like their whole thing.
Yeah. Josh Jung's back. He's healthy. Takes up another, batting order spot. Kind of squeezes out some other players around him.
Yeah. Yeah, just the hype that's
He's on
coming in
fire.
this year with him. Yeah, just like that we talked about. I was like, I need to see you more than a month to do it, and he didn't do it. So I just was like, that's what I was scared of. That's what I was scared of. Honestly, JT, I guess I gotta go with another guy, JT Realmuto. How is he still rostered in 71% of leagues? I mean, he plays catcher. I get it, but like, he has 7 home runs. We're in August. He has 7 home runs and 1 stolen base.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 80% roster. Do I need to say more? Like what? Like
Yeah,
what are we?
coming into this year, he was starting to, become like a gatekeeper for that catcher position. Like you didn't, once you got past him, it was kind of slim pickings. And
Ben Rice has the same amount of home runs. Like what?
yeah,
Like
and at this point in the season he's having, he's going to slip lower and lower to, is he even going to be relevant as a catcher next year for leagues? Like it's just
yeah,
the power's slowly slipping away.
it's just. I mean, he's got 250 at bats. I mean, he hasn't been healthy the whole season, but again, like you have the same number of home runs as Joey Ortiz. Like I'm like, I need you to do, and the value came from like he's a catcher and could do stuff. I'm like, but you have 1 stolen base too. Like you're
Right.
not filling out the stat sheet because you were hurt. You have 7 home runs. You're not playing great. You have a 300 on base when you're healthy. Like you know what I mean? Like the bar's pretty low for a catcher, but like we said, like I don't know. I'm just gonna look right here. Let's just see. Cal Raleigh's. I mean, not Cal Raleigh's not rostered, but like he is wrong because he's there. But like, let's see what the rostered percentage is for catchers. Let's see if someone who's like a free agent.
Trying to feel like it's my fault. It's like
You-
when I just squeeze too hard on the juice.
You get
to JT. I usually do it to pitchers, but I did it to JT in 2022 when he had the 2020 season. He hasn't
exactly.
he had a decent season last year in terms of like counting stats, but those ratios are starting to slide.
Mitch Garver has been awful, and Mitch Garver is beating him in everything but stolen bases, and it's 1-0. And Mitch Garver's registered in 9% of leagues. I mean, like, and one is 80. I'm just like, what do we? You know what I mean? Like,
but that's unfair. One's a DH and one's a catcher, Sean.
Actually, Mitch Garver has to catch now more. So
I know.
Yeah.
And we, as Mariners fans, were like, "Oh, were you sure about that?" It was like, "Oh,
sure.
Okay." Like, I guess. I mean, he's not spectacular, but I think he's average.
That's where his value comes from now. Like, if he's gonna hit this bad, at least like he's not Zebby. You know what I mean? Like, at least you're like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, your 650 OPS plays as a backup catcher. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. In a real baseball, we're talking context. Like, okay, that plays for real baseball, but like, you're not a starting DH. But yeah, I'm just like, why are we? It's got to be like closer to 20% for JT Realmuto at this point. We can't be at the 80%. He should not be the same roster percentage as Cal Raleigh. One has 23 home runs and 67 RBIs. The other guy has 7 and 20. What are we? Cal Raleigh has 5 stolen bases to 1. What are we doing? Why are they rostered the same? Like, I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, I just, like, guys, like, I get that like people want to hold on to the names, and but like, you got to cut bait at some point. And I think now, and like you said, maybe this year, see how it plays out, see what going into next year, see if he still holds eligibility, maybe take a late round flyer, maybe he has a bounce back. But like right now, for this year, I don't think it's changing. And 80% rostered is insanity. It's insanity right now. Like, again, for what I just described to you, Cal Raleigh and him, like, it's 23 home runs to 7. One guy has literally more than triple the RBIs.
Oh,
and they literally have the same OPS. On base percentage. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we still holding on to this?
I feel like we need to do a quick list of like catchers I'd rather have than JT Realmuto right now.
It's a pretty long list. I mean, like, because at this point, like, it's just like he doesn't give you anything, and I'm like, I'll roll the dice on like a Ruiz or a Jonah Heim. I'll roll the dice on somebody because I'm like, you're just not doing anything for me. Like, when you do play, like, you get 1 RBI less than every 10 at bats. So like per series, you get less than an RBI that you play. Like, you just don't do anything. Yeah. Ben Rice has 100 at bats and he has more RBIs. Like, what? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's the same number of walks, more RBIs, same number of home runs, and he has 120 at bats on the season. Play Ben Rice. Like, what? Like, Ben Rice is rostered in 17% of leagues or 14% of leagues. Like, it's just not been a good year for JT Realmuto. 80% is insanity. It's insanity.
Has Joey Bart had a better season than JT Realmuto?
I just saw him. He's down to like the 1%. Where's he at? Yeah. He has more home runs.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has one less stolen base.
That's a low bar. Yeah.
And 132 at bats. Like 100 less at bats.
I mean, Connor Wong, 20% rostered. Austin Wells, 11% rostered. Bart's in there. Like, there's a lot of catchers getting a lot of playing time.
It's just like crazy how like the name has kept him going for so long. Because again, like, I get that the talent is still there and he could get hot or something like that. But that is like holding on to that is like, hey, my catcher is Joey Bart. You got somehow like one of these bad catchers and you're like, I might need a guy who just gets some playing time sometime when he's healthy. And that could be a JT Realmuto if you need it, like it's something coming up or 2-catcher league, but not 80%. It's not 80%. It's like 20. Like, guys, like, he's just doing nothing. He's just doing nothing. So I'm just like, it's well, let's see here. I had a Freddie Furman. has as many walks as he does on the season. What team does he play for, JT?
Kansas City.
There you go. This was a Kevin and Matt question on my other podcast. They would have known that, but I'm like,
No. Yeah.
Joey Bart has one less walk. We just talked about Joey Bart. Joey Bart got cut from a team and is now has to play.
Oh yeah, we're on the same wavelength. Like I literally just looked at Furman and you mentioned it. I'm like, yeah, that's the equivalent in terms of production. That's pretty bad. Because Furman does not probably have near as many plate appearances. Half as many. Just guessing. Should we switch to pitching? I'm ready to talk about something more positive.
Yeah, I just have something else. Tucker Barnhart has 3 less walks, and he doesn't play baseball anymore. There you go. On the season. So, there we go. Okay.
Cherry on top. Boom.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's talk about pitchers. Should we do cutting pitchers and then end on the pickup pitchers? Yeah. Okay.
End on a good note.
Okay. Let's who am I cutting? Okay. Let me see here. I think 34% for Clayton Kershaw is a little spicy after. I get that it hasn't been great to start, but I think it was just more that second outing was pretty bad. First outing where he didn't get any strikeouts, but a little nicked up. I think he'll be fine.
That's so funny. I literally was going to say, how much of a leash do you give your boy? And I was going to open it that.
Well, it's not.
Before you even brought up Kershaw, so we're both looking at Kershaw, which is ironic.
I mean, it was a sloppy game. I don't know if you watched it, but it wasn't great all across the board. Defense wise, he didn't pitch well, but he was fine in his first outing. You know what I mean? He was totally fine.
Yeah.
What I have 6 strikeouts? What do you have? 6 strikeouts? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Same for
4 innings, 6 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. Fine, totally fine. Come back, first start back, totally fine. I think clearly it's still in there, and we've talked about it. He keeps dropping in velo, and usually that's a problem. But it's never hurt him. He just keeps striking everybody out. He had remember the big controversy last year was he was pulled the no hitter last year. It was just whatever, it's just Kershaw. And so I need a month, maybe 2 weeks. If it's closer to 2.5 weeks of this, then I'm okay, maybe because he's at 40%. That's probably fine. If he stays at 2 weeks of this, it's probably fine. But I don't need him to be the 6-inning guy right now. I just need him for his strikeouts. If that's the case, obviously I don't want a 6 ERA and I don't want a 2 WHIP. But again, that kind of came in the one start. If he gives me a 4 ERA but gets me some strikeouts, that's what you're going in with Kershaw. And that is a 50% roster. That is what I need from Clayton Kershaw is I need some strikeouts because that's what he should be doing for you. Now, if he loses that and he becomes more of a contact guy, then I'm okay, you're a contact guy. We talk about it, I think, every week. Well, you're a contact guy and you don't strike anybody out, or you don't strike anybody out and you're not going that deep into games. If you are a contact and not striking people out, you better be getting quality starts. You better be going 8 innings. You better be going 7 innings. And at Clayton Kershaw, if he's going to go 5 and not strike anybody out, then there is no value. But I think he'll get you 8 strikeouts a game. 5. I think he'll turn into what Blake Snell is, a 5 and dive. But when he gets me 8 strikeouts, that's totally fine. I think that's still Kershaw in there. And that's, to my opinion, that's a 45% roster guy.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree.
I think that's where his max is, though. I don't think he's any higher than that.
No. Yeah, I think he's more valuable in a wins league than a quality starts.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think he has any value in a quality start almost. Yeah.
I'm on the same page there with you.
Yeah, I think it's where he maxes out. And I think the Dodgers are fine with that because they want him to be healthy in the playoffs. And they're just look, we just need to survive we need pitchers until then. So I think that's where it is. Who's your guy? Why are people dropping Paul Sewald? Oh, his area is over 4. I mean, he had a 3 rough stretch. And then proceeded to go 8 games in a row of nothing and 4 saves. So I'm just his ERA wasn't going to be 0, guys. Everyone's he's been great. I'm okay, it's not going to be 0.
Yeah.
It just all came in a bunch. I was just okay, there you go.
It's probably, because we haven't potted in a while, probably a long time coming, but it's Garrett Crochet. You need to just drop him. I don't think you can get any value out of him. He's on this weird pitch count right before the trade deadline, and then he doesn't get traded, and he's on the worst team in baseball. And it was fun while it lasted, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you could see the cliff, and he's just 4 innings, 3 innings, I'm done. what are you gonna do with that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yep, he's got to.
So
I mean, like, yeah, drop. I mean, it's got to be close to zero because it's just like he's not. I just don't see like how it bounces back this year. Hiccups. Sorry. Trying to see who else.
I have mixed feelings about Tanner Howe. Kind of
Mixed
my boy.
as in what?
Well,
He's
kind of
kind of
my
your
boy.
boy, so I was
I
like,
kind of
I'm shocked.
traded him earlier this year
Yeah,
because he was pitching so well. I'm like, this can't
yeah,
last, and I need offensive help.
fair enough. Yeah,
He's faced at Texas, the Yankees, at Colorado. That's a tough stretch. I don't know. I feel like if you feel like you're an owner who could like make a trade and get him on the cheap, I'd say do it. If you're someone who has him on your team and you're just like, oh, okay, let's put him on the bench. I definitely don't think you drop him, but it's like this weird limbo where you know our fantasy trade deadline for most leagues are coming up here in the
yeah.
month of August, so it's just like if you're feeling frisky and you feel like you could get 80 cents on the dollar trade, depending on which way you feel about Huck, whether he's rostered on your team or you're wanting to acquire him, I feel like you could go either way. I'm kind of on the fence about it.
I think, I think you wait near the trade deadline, and then if you're in a keeper league, then you trade for him. And I think it's solely because of innings. He's already
Mm-hmm.
30 innings over his previous high. And if you
Yeah.
go back 2 years, he's already more than doubled it. I mean, he was 60 innings, 106, now he's at 140. Like, he's already probably just gassed. And I think that in combo with what you said, that lineup, that's a brutal, that like list of like, like he went New York, Oakland. Okay, that's fine. And he 6 innings and no run in Colorado, New York again, and at Texas. And we talked for everything we say about Texas. At the end of the day, they still have some MVPs in that lineup. So like it hasn't been like the easiest thing in the world. And then before the New York that series, it was San Diego too, and they surprisingly can still hit. So it's just like I think it's a combo of like teams he's playing, and he's just like we see it, that when you throw in 40 more innings than you did the previous year, he's still we just hit August too. So it's just like he's still got a length to go. And so I'd be like, look, I believe in the talent. To your point, I believe in the talent's there. I just think that like the situation, they're not going to get all that talent out of him because he's just tired. Like he's just pitched so many more innings. 2 years ago, he pitched 60 innings, and he's more than double that. And he's at 70 more innings than he was 2 years ago. Like I'm just like, and again, he still got 2 months of the season to go. Like he knows that there's a long road still ahead of him, and it's just like I think Boston could do a little bit of a favor of him, like resting him a little bit, because it's just like because it was 9-day difference. We talked maybe like his numbers weren't going to be as good as they were early, but I don't think they're going to be as bad as they are right now. I think it's just like the team needs to protect him a little bit, like maybe skip him a start or two, give him like a little bit of time to like. It's just hard, He's still this is fifth year in the majors. I get that, but it's just been delayed because of like COVID, injuries. Then he's like, okay, now we're working you up to over 100 innings, and now this is the next year, right after they've worked him up to 100 innings. I'm like, do you expect him to go, 180 in the next year, like basically double him? I'm like, that's just a lot to ask from somebody. So
Yeah.
I just think it's a combination of exhaustion and opponents, and so I think I would trade for him in a keeper league to be like, look, I'll get him pretty cheap. When everyone's like, man, it was just a flash in the pan, and I think talent wise, it's there. It's just the it's not going to work out this year. It never was, and I don't think Boston or Boston's
Right.
fans should have banked on it working out this year for the full season. Like that, yeah, that's just not how that should have worked. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And in my head, I agree with you about he would have had an innings cap no matter what. Started off so hot, and then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, he throws a lot of sliders, and he's adding up a lot of innings. And so I just went on to the Avant right now. He technically ditched the slider. It's called a sweeper now. It's like, okay, he's trying to get the same profile. But in the last, so like April through June, he's thrown it like 40% of the time. In the last month and a half, he's up to like 50% of the time. That's a lot of sweepers thrown. And if you're a hitter and you can think 50-50 sweepers coming, depending on what you're looking for, lefty, righty, whatever. I mean, his sinker percentages stay the same, and he's kind of
So he's
the split
just
finger
throwing
four more
sweepers instead of
sweepers.
fastballs.
Yeah, and
That just lends me to believe he's tired a little bit. Like he's just tired.
yeah, he's just trying to kind of like
Get something over.
wiffle ball it in there.
Yeah. He just
So
can't get that velo on that fastball that much anymore. Yeah, it just makes it feel like he's just running out of steam a little bit. And so I think when they build it up, I think talent wise, it's there. It's there to be good.
yeah,
So I would trade for him. I would trade for him at the deadline. Be like, try to get him on the cheap. Because I think it'll be a couple more games where he like maybe gets touched a little bit, but I'm like, talent will be there the next year. Like it'll be fine. So, but yeah, for this year, I think it's hard to roster him in 85% of leagues. I just to all the points, I just think he's not gonna get magically less tired. He's already past that unless they skip him a couple starts. I don't foresee him having a 3-year the rest of the year. I think it'll be a little higher, which is fine. Again, it's fine, but 84% roster, I think it's a little high. Just because of all of that. I still don't know what to do with Jordan Montgomery being that high rostered and just 6.5 ERA. I just don't. I don't. It's not crazy. It's 45%, and it's been dropping since we last talked about it. But I'm like, his numbers didn't get that much better since we last talked either. So I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you can't predict when the good game's going to come, and it's going to come with like 3 other horrible games around it, and it's really tough to chase.
And even if he pitches well, he doesn't go that deep. He's like, all right, I got 5, I got no earned runs, but I'm like, only went 5. Or, I like Pittsburgh 2 days ago. Only gave it 1 earned run, but I went 3. And I'm like, I need you, if you're going to be like that, I need your good games to be a quality start. I need you to give me something. Right. If you don't.
Honestly, kind of in the same, same vein as Jose Barrios. I feel like I'm right there with Jose Barrios. Like he's 80% rostered, and he'll go out against New York and give up 5 earned, but then he'll go out against Texas and give out 1, and then 3 starts to go Tampa Bay, he walks 6, and it's just like but then Seattle obviously strikes out 10, but he still gives up 4 earned. You're just like, I don't like. As a fantasy owner, it's like I can't relate one to the other. There's no correlation. It'd be really tricky
great
for me. Oh man, it's hard to trust, because in certain aspect, a pitcher that you have 80% rostered, you need to be able to trust.
Yeah,
almost every week.
my feelings about Jose Barrios. I'm never been a huge fan. I do roster Jose Barrios. But I'm not a huge fan of Jose Barrios. I just thought he was overrated for where people were talking. People were talking about
value.
Like I'm just like, you're not getting value on Jose Barrios. Like,
and to me, he's a fantasy innings eater. Well, literally, he is pitching every 5th day. But man, it's just.
I wish the quality was just a little bit better of the inning he was eating. I was like, he gets a lot of like bump up, but I just thought he got a lot of love for playing the Central.
Right.
All right, let's talk about happy things. Happy guys. The best stuff, really. You go first, JT. You go first.
Schwellenbach. Spencer.
It's based solely off name, right?
It's the Schwellenbacher. He's just been more than Schwell over the last over month, 30 days.
Can I give you time? Can I give you like, in my head I was like, I need a nickname. Spencer Schwellenbacher, the S. I'm like, nope, not that name. I was like, can't do that. Like initial. Nope, we're not doing that. Slippy, slappy, something. We'll figure it out, but not what I had. Not where my brain went right away. It's like, oh, let's solve that.
He's just like that modern pitcher that you're looking for. He's challenging the strike zone. His whip is near 1. He has a 7 K to walk ratio. It's just like he's going deep into games, 6-7 innings at a time. His shortest stint was 4 2/3, in June. Otherwise, he's had at least 5. So it's like, no matter a wins or quality starts league, he's doing it. He had a little hiccup there against St. Louis. He cased 10 most recently against Miami, still because it only gets squad start 3 earned. But it's been super consistent. Haven't seen that out of an Atlanta pitcher in a while, other than like Freed. So it's just like I think it's just legit. I mean, just the longevity of what he's been doing. And definitely, I would roster more than 35% of leagues, and just like you might check every once in a while there, but like so far so good, and one extra piece to add to your fantasy roster gets you a championship.
Yeah, looking at it, he's definitely going the right direction too. I don't think his like landing was like rough. It wasn't the best, but again, it was like the first couple starts, and you're like, he's clearly trending in the right direction. He's striking out more. Like you said, he's actually, as the season's going on, he's getting stronger. He's going deeper into games. Like his average of innings pitched is like we're approaching 7 now. And like you said, I feel like I am not looking at it specifically how it gives up, but like one game he gave up 3 earned runs, and then 2. Oh, I know one was Jake Berger I talked about earlier, a 2-run home run. So like some of it seems like he got a single, then a guy hit a home run. And you're like, well, there's 2 of the 3 runs in 7 innings. You know what I mean? Like it's like he's having even that game where he gave up 3 runs, he had a sub 1 whip, he had 6 hits and no walks and 10 strikeouts. So I'm like, oh yeah, he gave up two home runs. He maybe has a little bit of a home run problem, but like, even then, like I don't think it's that bad. And so it's just like he's getting. I think he's getting kind of a little home run unlucky. So I think like, yeah, because he had 2 home runs against Miami, and then he had 3 against St. Louis. So it looks like they're all solo shots basically. But again, 8 strikeouts. So it's just like a whip of 1, and he's not walking anybody too, which is like great. So last 5 starts, he has 1 walk, and he's gone 6 innings, and all those starts are more. So
yeah, I mean
he's going the right direction. He's definitely going the right direction.
Prime Scherzer blueprint. I'm not going to walk you. No one's on base. I'm going to challenge you with my best of. I'm 3-2 count. You hit a solo shot and a hat tip, but like that's not
big. You're not going to get me that many times, honestly. And so that's like hit it if you can, basically. So I like it. I think you're correct. I wasn't super familiar. I'd heard of the name because once you hear the name once, you're definitely going to hear the name. But I was like, I hadn't delved into his profile before.
Yeah,
because he was already snagged in our league. So I was like, okay, well there goes that guy. But now that I'm reading into him, I'm like, okay, yeah, he needs to be rostered in more than 35% of leagues. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about Sean Manaea? The number 1 increase. The last 2 starts have been great. Minnesota and St. Louis shutouts, 7 runs or 7 innings, double-digit strikeouts. But like, we've seen this before. You know what I mean? Like flashes, and then it's just like, okay, it's been better, but I'm not buying the 10 strikeouts. Let's be honest there. But like, is there? He's 43% rostered. Is that my gut tells me that's about accurate, about 43 to 50%. Like I feel like that's a good number for Sean Manaea right now at this point in his career.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, obviously, Minnesota's average offense, St. Louis average, maybe slightly below average type offense at the moment. But he held his own against New York. Just give 4 walks. That's probably par for the course facing the Yankees in the Subway Series, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you roster him seeing, hey, look, he's going to pitch against Minnesota, St. Louis, and then the Mariners this Saturday. So I feel like he's definitely like a gatekeeper. He's like that. You know what you're going to get out of him. I didn't think it'd be 21 strikeouts over 14 inning, 2 starts, but you know what? Hey, I'll take it. Obviously, I feel like that's his ceiling.
Yeah.
But I feel like, if he goes 6 innings, get you, 3 earned, 6 Ks, 3 walks. I mean, like it's just going to be the literal like minimum quality start type of vibe, ish. Not probably a 4.5 ERA, but I mean, it's just he's definitely a gatekeeper. He's a guy on your bench, and you see, oh, he's got a good matchup. I'm going to start him this week. He's good to have on the roster if available, and just depending on your league and how deep it is, it's whether he's actually in your rotation or you stream him. and he's just a free agent. So I think that 50% roster is probably a good number.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I want to talk about something I found out.
So,
Okay. Oh, I'll just say Robbie Ray is healthy. What I'll say about that is he's pitched 3 games. He's given up 7 earned runs. That's not the stat. The stat is he's given up 5 home runs. Basically, he's given up, all of his runs are on solo home runs. And what I say to that is the strikeout numbers are there. I mean, he's averaging about 6. He's not going that deep in a game, but he's averaging more than a strikeout an inning. He's not walking a ton. Like, he's always going to walk more than the average guy, but for Robbie Ray, he's not walking like a crazy amount. He's averaging about 3-ish, 3.5. Like, he would go to 9 innings, like 3.5 walks per 9 innings. Again, higher than you'd like, but for Robbie Ray, that's fine. But for the strikeouts you're getting, that's great. Because he's going to strike a lot of people out. The home runs won't continue, especially in San Francisco. So my thought is, like, could he be kind of a sneaky, like, playoff fantasy guy? Because I'm like, once the home run pop regresses, he's not going to give home runs at that rate. The strikeouts will play. And in San Francisco, I feel like I talked about Clayton Kershaw. He's the guy who's going to strike out a ton of people in 5 innings. Like, he's the guy who I hope he could turn into the Clayton Kershaw. He pitched 5 innings against Cincinnati, gave 2 solo home runs. Those are the only 2 earned runs he gave up. He had 1 walk and only 3 hits, and he struck out 9. Like, that is like
right.
9 and 5 with 3 hits. Like, I'm like, and if he doesn't give up 2 solo home runs, that's, you know what I mean? 5 innings. Let's say he gives up 1 home run. 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 solo home run, and 9 strikeouts. Like, that's fantastic. And I'm like, I feel like those days are kind of coming. Like, not again, I don't know if it's going to be 7 yet this year or something like that, but like, I feel like he can get you some very strong strikeout innings at the very end of the year. And what is he rostered in? 37% of leagues? Again, kind of like Clayton Kershaw, like 40 to 45%, I feel like. Like, there are going to be very high strikeout innings if you need strikeouts. And I don't think the home runs are going to keep up. And I think that ERA will definitely play. I think it's closer to a 4 ERA. He will strike you. Like, if it's a K to walk league, maybe like you kind of got to watch it. But if you're just solely looking up to pile up strikeouts, Robbie Ray will pitch enough. And in that game, he'll pitch long enough because he's not giving up the solo home runs to get you the strikeouts. I think that's a play.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. And you mentioned Kershaw. Yeah, similar vibe, similar.
Robbie Ray's doing it. I need Kershaw to get to that point, get to the Robbie Ray level. But like, Robbie Ray's doing what I hope Kershaw would do.
I'd be more on the fence for a quality start league, but if you're in a win league, for sure, it's just the amount of innings they're going to allow him to get, just coming off fresh. And I mean,
I just want those strikeouts. Look, if you give me 9 strikeouts in 5 innings, like, I'll take that all day.
Oh, for sure. It's just like they're a 500 ball club. They're still going to want him to compete. It's just, I don't know how much of a leash he'll have, but even as we turn into late August into September, he probably get the 6 plus innings. Probably not reaching out anything further than that, but dude's a high K per 9 upside for sure.
Yeah, that's what I need. Who are you gonna ask about?
Oh, River Ryan. So he's a Dodger pitching prospect. So pick him up, and he needs to be 75% rostered. The end, right?
I mean, you're talking to the guy who in our ESPN league has him rostered.
Right.
So yeah. So yes, I really like River Ryan. It's going to kind of like what you said. It's going to be how long do they let him go? Like, his innings, so far, I don't know. Did he have a walk issue in the minors? I did not remember that.
I'm gonna look it up.
But he's walked 3 people a game, and he's not. And that's just saying something, because he's not going even in the 6th. He's not getting 6 complete innings of work. So he's walking a lot of people, but he just doesn't give up a lot of hits other than that. So that's why it's like his numbers are still good, because he just doesn't give up a lot of base hits. So, but if the walks come down, I really like River Ryan. I almost called him River Raycraft. Combined 2 players' names. But yeah, I really like him. Obviously, I roster him. I snagged him early. He's at when he was really, really, he's at what, 21 right now after a 14% jump. I had him at like 7% rostered. So I like him quite a bit, and they're desperate for guys to just eat some innings, and I think they're going to let him eat some innings.
Yeah.
Or get some starts. I don't know how long they're going to let him eat. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily maybe eat the innings, but he's going to get the ball every 5 days. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they cut James Paxton, so. Or did they officially trade him or waiver him? I don't. It's not really important, but yeah, James Paxton does not play for the Dodgers anymore. So
like DFA'd and then trade
because of like someone claimed him. Yeah, so yeah, they're gonna let River Ryan pitch. So is the point. So I like him, and again, he's a Dodger pitcher. You kind of honestly said it there too. He's a Dodger pitcher that they trust. So sign me up.
Between for him for like River Ryan for AAA, his appearances last year. I guess he's coming back off like probably an injury. Didn't have many innings last year. Anyways, he's like a 20% plus K to walk.
Okay.
So it's probably just meeting the level, kind of acclimating.
Yeah.
Compared to what he's done, he's walking a little bit more. It's 14% in the big so far. Just kind of weird when it's 3 for the walks per game, and so he probably just meeting his level, figuring things out.
I mean, I'm just hoping. I mean, who do they have? It's so hard with the Dodgers to remember who they have in that rotation because it feels like someone is like being rotated in and out of there all the time. Oh, I mean, okay, there is an issue with him, the trading for Jack Flaherty, because that bumps him down. And don't they have Walker Buehler coming back? Yes. Yeah. They have Walker Buehler coming back, and River is the 5th starter.
Yeah, I think you just try to get as much as you can out of River because I don't think he's going to last long. Like between this year and last year and the year before, like he does not have many innings under his belt. He barely eclipsed 100 innings last year.
Could I mean, honestly, something like what would help the Dodgers the most, honestly, of all teams, is a 6-man rotation. Like, let all of your pitchers just pitch less is really what you need to do. Because, honestly, I really like them. Glasnow, Kershaw, Gavin Stone, Jack Flaherty, River Ryan, and Walker Buehler. Kershaw, Tyler Glasnow, River Ryan, and Walker Buehler all could use a 6-man rotation. Like, they're just like, hey, we're all coming back. We're kind of not super healthy. Let us all have an extra day. The one that really needs it is Jack Flaherty. He's like, I'm good to go every 5 days. And Gavin Stone. Yeah. How many innings did he pitch?
I mean, barely Flaherty because last year was his TJ comeback year. So, it wouldn't be detrimental. Because are they wanting? Is he just a 1-year deal, or is he like? Do they get to keep him for a while?
I honestly don't know how much time's left, but I mean, like, it's got to be something because I mean they're gonna have this Ohtani guy pitch next year for them too. So like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I was pulling up Flaherty's.
So I feel like, and Yamamoto didn't he just strain himself too? He's not close enough. He just re-aggravated himself, right? If I saw that correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's not coming back anytime soon.
Flaherty's just this year. He's a free agent.
Okay. So yeah, burn him, burn him off, use him. Lean on that guy. I think that's why they did it. Because Yamamoto wasn't coming back there, or not coming back for at least a while. They're like, we need another arm. And so, now that I think about it, I don't know. Love the idea of River Ryan, but like, I just don't know where he pitches.
The more I think about it, we're saying a 7-man rotation. So Flaherty pitches every 5 days. That allows 4 in between, and you get 4 different dudes in there.
And honestly, like, it sounds crazy, but I would it makes sense for the Dodgers. You know what I mean? Like that, like the other 4 starters and then the other 5 starters could all use the extra time off to help them do what they're doing. Now, if Kershaw's like, I need every 5 days, you just let Kershaw do what he's going to do. You know what I mean? Like you give that man that runway, but to get him back up to whatever that man tells you he needs, it's fine. Like the track record speaks for itself. But like, I feel like everybody's just like would love that extra time, and I would, as a fantasy owner, be like, okay, that's fine. Once a week, you tell me my Dodger fantasy pitcher gets to start once a week for the rest of the season. I'm like, dude, totally fine. I'll take the 2 start weeks and be like, I get River Ryan starting every once a week, and then you probably let him go even a little bit further. But like, absolutely fine. You tell him I can go other than it's like 75 pitches, he can get to like 90 or 100. Like, I'll sign that up all day. So yeah, I would do that. But yeah, now that I think about it, he's probably 21% roster is probably close because I just don't, unless Walker Buehler, and I'm not rooting for Walker Buehler to have a re-injury, but unless that happens, I just don't see River Ryan's playing time. There's a path, I don't see it, which is a shame. We're talking about they're gonna have to dump a guy with a 1.7 ERA. Like, I mean, I know it's only been 3 starts, but still, it's just like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Let's see, JT. Who else? I see here Jack Flaherty, who you actually roster, so that's funny. We talk about pitchers. Okay. I feel like we do this all the time, and there's one reason why it's clearly this way, and it's health. But he's rostered in less than 40% of leagues. His ERA is 2, and his WHIP is 0.8, and it's Brian Wu. What, like? I get it's health. I get it. But, like, I'm going to say it one more time. His ERA is 2. He just dominated the Phillies. Like, just completely dominated the Phillies. Like, 5 hits in 7 innings. No walks. 6 strikeouts. And it's coming off of his first start. It like, just coming back. He's like, hey, I got a couple starts. Coming back healthy. We're going to throw you Houston. 5 2/3. 4 hits. 2 earned runs. One was basically a home run, and he's like, no walks. And he's like, the White Sox, I'm only going to go 4 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs. And he's like, Phillies dominate. I'm like, so he got Houston and Philly in the back-to-back games, and has gone, 12 and 2/3 innings with 2 earned runs against those 2 teams with 9 hits. I'm like, guys, like, it's just health, and I get it, but like, holy crap. Like, it needs to just sit at 50. If he's not healthy, he needs to sit at 50. Because, like, he's just pumping. It's just straight gas, homie. Like, it's so good when he pitches. It's just so good. And he's healthy right now. Like, he's going to play against the Tigers next week, guys. Like, come on. Like, come on. 39% rostered. Just, what are we doing?
He's so good. It's just,
I don't know. I feel like we say it every single week here. Like, I get its health, but man, like, what are we doing? Yeah. All right. Ridiculous. We just talked about Shaman I is like, yeah, he's like, he can get you 5. He's rostered in 43% of leagues. He's rostered more than Brandon Wu, and Brandon Wu were like, please, like, it's the whole hockey adage, like, please like my sport, please like me. Like, it's just all he wants. Like, he's like, what else do I got to do, guys? What do I got to do? So, I don't know. If you didn't roster him, I'd roster him, JT, because I see you roster him in this league. So good for you. Yeah. I don't see anybody else that's kind of shocking. I mean, I'm sure I could find some, but I don't see anybody that pops off, JT.
There's maybe like one other one. I feel like 10% rostered is just not enough. Ryan Nelson there in Arizona. We talked about Montgomery ain't cutting the cheese, but Nelson is throwing some stinky cheddar. He's getting decently deep in the games. He's giving you a solid amount of strikeouts. It's just kind of quality start or not. He's clips 4 earned, 2 out of the last 3, but at Pitt, that's a tough team sometimes, and then definitely at Kansas City. But I feel like a solid spot starts starts Friday against the Phillies. Probably would avoid, but I feel like a streamer. I feel like 10% rostered. It could definitely go up from there, especially if he's got like a 2-start week with some nice matchups. But he's kind of starting to become a little more consistent, and definitely like kind of a name that has stood out a little bit out of the the generic names that aren't as home.
It's gonna be another mirror, but how's Andres Munoz like 82% rostered? He just completed in his last 10 innings. He has thrown a no hitter basically combined. Not even basically. He has not given up a hit for 10 plus innings. So I mean, his whip is under 1, and he's like the 20th. No, a little bit less. Like 15th best. No, like 17th highest in saves or something like that, and he's just down there in the low 80s. I'm like, guys, like when he pitches, he's like one of the best closers in baseball. Like, I get the volume's not there yet, but like even if he doesn't get the save, it's just like 2 strikeouts, no hits. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
That that's insanity too. I was like, how is he rostered so low? I guess it's just the volume of saves, but I'm just like, guys, like if it's not a save opportunity, it's gonna be great inning. Like, if nothing else, like, and the saves like probably gonna be there because the Mariners score no runs.
and we've talked about like ESPN obviously is super slow to adjust to the saves in terms of roster percentage. Those needles move.
Do you?
Awful slow.
Yeah, I kind of like a sneaky idea. I don't know if it's like you need to go out and pick them up, but AJ Puck is rostered in 20% of leagues. We did talk about Paul Sewald giving up some dingers and stuff like that recently. We think it's going to normalize, but if it doesn't, they did make a play for AJ Puck, and he did get a save 2 days ago. I'm just saying, if you're desperate need of it, that's the guy who's going to steal someone's job. Like, that's my gun to my head. That's the guy who's going to steal someone's job at the deadline or the end of the year. And
that's the ideal play. The guy who has elite ratios, who might eventually just kind of overtake the closer job.
Yeah, his overall numbers look a little shaky, but that's because he was a starter. As a relief pitcher this year, his numbers are great. Like, he's been great as a relief pitcher. So, yeah, the starting numbers throw off his like ERA over 4, but that's all because of a starter. Like, his last 15 games, he's got 1 run. So I'm just saying, AJ Puck, he might be taking someone's job here soon if Paul Sewald continues to struggle a little bit. So
yeah, and then touching on saves real quick, Ben Joyce for the Angels. It's not going to be a whole lot of saves, but man, when he closes one out at 105, that's pretty cool.
I saw that. That was legit. That was legit.
And what is it? Chad Green, get definitely the bulk of the saves at the moment, especially with Yimi getting traded away. So if you're really deep league and you need those saves, Chad Green just got one the other day, so it's just kind of trickling in there. Those are a couple of names that are super low percent rostered that would probably have value, but I would acquire them in the order we just brought them up.
Yep. No, that's yep, 100%. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, and on closers, close it out. There we go.
Cool. I mean, we still could get to Dad's strength, but we're running super long. We haven't potted in a while, so maybe we save it for next week.
Yeah, I'll save it for next week.
Update some metrics for you for next week, or get back in the swing of things. But we still need crown Dad.
Well, I suggested pre-pod that we crown the Russian dad or the Romanian dad, the sharpshooter, the dude who showed up in his flip-flops and just glasses and hand in a pocket, winning a silver medal. Just a weekend dad sharpshooter is like, I got a hobby, and how did I end up at the Olympics? And that's what happened. And so shout out to I don't want to try to even pronounce his name, but you all know who it is. You've all seen the memes. Yeah, good on you. I'm one dad to another. Salute. Yeah.
Yusef Dikek.
There you go.
Yusef, definitely. Yeah.
You've all seen the meme by now, so yes. You don't need all that fancy equipment, man. Just grip it and rip it,
Oh yeah. And I want to say special shout out to mom of, let's just say, the month is James Wood's mom, out on the Twitter X defending her son and clapping back with like elite stat knowledge.
Yeah, like correcting stats. Like, oh yeah, it was like
like, yeah, careful. You just calculated case per at bat when it's, case per plate appearance. Like, just blew me away.
Don't mess with her. She's probably in some nasty fantasy leagues. I mean, like she's getting some nitty gritty stats down there.
Dang. Her handle is at Paula Wood DMV. So do you think DMV in terms of like the Department of Licensing DMV, where she's gonna know all the rules and regulations, but for baseball, or like the DMV in terms of like what Maryland, Greater Maryland area
It's got to be like
DMV,
Dynasty something master. It's got to be like
Dynasty Mamas that are
yeah,
very good at baseball. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't. The V is like throwing me off, but yeah, it's got to be something like that. She's got to be like Dynasty Masters of Virginia or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if she's
Oh,
maybe like that. Like she's just like top dog in the league or something like that. But yeah, it was pretty impressive when you sent me that, JT. I was like, wow, she brought the stats. Like it was the reactions were great too to
yes,
her correcting him.
yes,
Like it was like, oh, okay. Like yeah, that was great. So yeah, shout out to moms.
cool. All right. This was a good one. We thank you for joining us. We appreciate you listening. Take care, be well, and until next time, see ya.
See ya.